What's up, y'all? Barefoot Bruisers. Yep, it's been one of them kind of weeks. Let me sit down. Let's bullshit back. Hope y'all doing well. Well, I'll make a progress. So on the mill, we got the ways tightened up. I was showing you all the gib and all that stuff last week, and I figured out a way to modify the machine in order to tighten everything up. And basically, I think it was just either taken apart and not put back together right, or just wasn't made right to start with from the factory, but it wasn't a big deal. I basically was able to do everything with hand tools and basically making where the gib was more adjustable, and everything came out of it, and it tightened the machine up so it doesn't have any play in it. I was showing y'all last week. But the spindle still needs to be taken apart, because after all that, put the indicator on the spindle and it's running out between 10 and 12 thou. So that's still an issue with it. So whether I can get the parts to fix that or not will remain to be seen. I may have to make some of that stuff or get some stuff made, but we'll see. So I continued on working on Evan's reblade with that S Mini. Where the hell did I do with it? Y'all give me a second. It's kind of been all over the place this morning. I'll explain more as we go. What did I do with it? Oh, here it is. I should probably get this shit off my hands. Obviously, I'm not using the mic anymore, because I think that was the source of a lot of the bad audio, was that external mic, or whatever, Wi-Fi mic, whatever the hell that thing is. Wi-Fi. Bluetooth. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyhow, progress on Ev's S Mini reblade. So here we go with the blade. A little more of a, I guess it's kind of a kookery-ish kind of thing now. But, you know, if you're holding it in the back position, you got a pretty good down angle to cut here and scrape there. I didn't want to make it a super big finger choil when I asked him. He didn't want a finger choil, but like looking at this grind, like I could have brought it back that extra, quarter inch or something, and it really wouldn't have left enough room for your finger. And as it is right now, and granted, like it's not like a hard, it's not really meant to be a hard use knife, but now I can at least get all 4 fingers on the knife. You know, one finger kind of a, what do they call that? 50-50, like kind of, it's on all the blade, but right above the pivot, kind of sort of, so I can get all 4 of my fingers on there. Decent little guy. But I did the stop pin on that side. Oops, let me flip it around so I can show you the right side. This side stepped, similar to what Direware does on some of his. I've never seen him do like a 50-50. Most of the time it's either this way or this way, but square shouldered here, just, you know, straight shank, and then stepped on this side. So that's the progress on it. And I was getting ready to do a backspace on it, because the holes here, when this is closed, and I don't have the stop pin in the right location. I got to drill stop pin location, but hopefully you can see that the blade's coming through this hole. And depending on where I use it for a stop, you know, if I leave it here or there, like, you know, it depends on if it comes into this hole or not. Hopefully you can see that blade poke at that little hole. Anyway, I'm making a backspacer for it. So first step for me is to locate those holes and start drilling and tapping, because I can actually come in the middle of that backspacer and relieve it for the blade. You know, hopefully it won't be a full thickness, but enough till I can relieve it for the blade. So starting to make a backspacer, so I basically got this the right thickness. I'm drilling and tapping, and I broke the freaking tap off. Hopefully you can see that black nub that's up in there. For those that don't know, you can probably see a little spot on it there. You can usually soak, like if you break taps off in titanium, you usually soak this in ferric chloric acid. Same stuff you use to do an acid stone wash, and it'll eat the tap. This must be a cobalt tap, because it ain't eating. It's been in there since Thursday, and it's still in there. So I guess I'll have to get a smaller end mill and try to work it out, or start over, one of the two. So we're gonna put it back in ferric chloric acid, let it soak for a little while longer. Maybe to do something, I don't know. It's just kind of how this week's going. Like, you know, get the mill fixed. I'm super excited, and I still got a problem because the spindle problem's there. It's just how, you know, it's how it goes sometimes. You know, you got to earn it. Then sometimes I got to remind myself, I got to earn this. You know, like they didn't give it to you. You got to earn it. So, in more happier news, and I guess this is kind of mixed too a little bit, because, I was talking about Texas Blade Show. I kept saying Blade Show West, but I met Texas Blade Show a few weeks ago. And the only person I really knew that was going to it that I was buzzed with was Ken Faulkner. And it seemed like I had a good experience there. I haven't heard directly compared to Atlanta. Like when I see him in Atlanta, I'll probably hit him up for more information to see if that's one I want to ride to next year or not. But I'm kind of thinking it might be. I was planning on riding the bikes to Atlanta to go to Blade Show Atlanta. So that's kind of changed a little bit. The reason I say so is wife's about to start school. Her school is going to be, when she starts school, like, you know, most time you go to a college program, they have breaks. And this school does have breaks, but it's not more than like, I think there's like a couple, like 7-10 day breaks. And that's, you know, like I think they get a total of like 4 weeks off, or maybe it's 5 weeks off a year, but they're like, you know, necessarily holidays, spring break, whatever, you know how school shit goes. Been eons since I've been in school, but I kind of sort of still remember that. Anywho, so this will be my wife's last chance to go on a vacation before she starts the school. And, you know, honestly, probably afterwards too. She's probably going to hammer down and roll like that afterwards for a while too, without taking vacations. So we sat down and talked about, do we want to go to Blade Show? And she's all about going to Atlanta. My dad lives there. My brother lives in Huntsville, Alabama. And my other brother lives in Roswell. I think it's Roswell. Somewhere in North Atlanta. I can't remember the town. Maybe it is Roswell. I think it is. But anyhow, so I got family around there. I got friends. I grew up in Atlanta, so I got friends that still live there. So it, you know, taking a vacation there would be cool, but she did not want to ride. She wasn't down with riding at all. Like, mainly because she was worried about the heats, because she does have we would both have medical issues, but she has medical issues that, you know, will probably prolong that trip. And it, you know, I think the last time I did it was basically 2.5 to 3 days. And it would probably prolong that into like more like 4 to 5 days. And she didn't want to take that much time off. You know, we're still grinding to try to get money to pay for school. So she didn't want to take that kind of time off and not have coverage for that period of time. So she talked me into flying, which is totally fine. I'm fine with it. You know, I'd rather have a good vacation with her. You know, she's not going to go to the show. She thought she was going to go to the show first, but she's like, you know, the show's really for you. It's not for me. So let's just let you do that. So I already got my tickets and plane tickets and tickets to the Blade Show. I believe they're up on the site. If y'all didn't know, like, they don't like just sell out. Well, they sell out the, what do you call it, early bird and that sort of thing. You can go to a Blade Show, pretty much walk to the gate, buy a ticket and go in. I've never seen it sold out as far as that goes, but one never knows. I'd imagine the way the knife kind of game's going, economy and stuff, unless something picks up, that it'll probably be a slower year this year. I'm just guessing. Like, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing because not a lot of stuff. So a lot of people are kind of getting out of the hobby because there's less play money. You know, there's less going around. You got to pay for bills and everything getting up. So I mean, I get it. It's economics, man. It's like everything, man. I heard a car guy talking about it. Like, he does mods, and he was talking about another model that is beyond his level, and it's just like you're playing to a certain clientele. The more up you get, it's just like customs, right? Like, no, I'm into like the customs that are around the $1,000 area, you know, like sometimes up above that. You know, I've paid $2,100 for one, and, you know, as little as like probably a couple hundred for some. So, you know, I'd say 1,000 is probably about the range that, you know, most of my knives come in that range. And that's like upper. So if you talk about like people who collect like the upper echelon of, like, say, the Roosevelts and the other stuff, that the higher end productions, I guess it's Oz Machine, not Roosevelt. Oz Machine, Koenig to a certain extent. They're not quite as expensive. But you know what I mean? Like the upper echelon of what most people know of as, I guess some people call them custom, some people high-end production. It depends on your viewpoint, I guess. But anyway, like, that's pretty much what I'm into. And I know a lot of people are just into budget knives, and they look at me and like, how the hell do you spend that much, man? It's just all about what we have and what we're into, right? So I think what I'm going to do, and how I alluded to this, he didn't ask me to do this. He don't even know I'm going to do this. But if y'all know Chuck Dunface, he hasn't done a video on it as far as I know. He's only done one post on Instagram. But he's a buddy of mine. And I think most of y'all know who I'm talking about and have at least seen Chuck's videos or his Instagram or something like that. But like, there's, you know, especially Instagram, there's very little, I won't say community, because a lot of people like pictures and stuff like that, but there's very little interactions between me and other people at this point. Chuck's one of the people I talk to almost regularly, like almost a couple times a week. Pretty much I'll put a picture up, he always makes a comment. Like, I can't say even comment that much back on his, but like, we talk, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I have time to do that shit, sometimes I don't, but like, we talk a lot. But anyhow, to make a long story short, Chuck's physical real brother, like his legit brother, has been fighting cancer for 8 years, and he put up a Go Help Me for whatever that is fund. And I like to do something for him if I could. You know, being, like I said, that money's getting tighter, and it's getting tighter for me too, obviously, because the wife's fixed to go to school, and that's going to cost us not only an income, but also having to pay on top of that. So that's like a double whammy pretty much. And then her being the intelligence for our business, you know, that pretty takes my chances. I can't go work harder at our business to make any more money. So I'm relying on someone else, or I gotta go get another job. You know, I don't need to explain all this shit to y'all, but you get it, right? So I think what I'm gonna do is list a few of these. I think I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8, well, maybe even 9 possibly. That we'll go ahead and throw up for sale. If you're interested, that's cool. I'm gonna give them for pretty much about half of what I got into them, or something like that. Most of these are good knives. They're just not my favorite knives. You know what I mean? Like they're just ones that I'm like, meh. You know, so if you got the money and you want to spend it and get a knife, the reason I'm offering half prices, maybe entice some of you guys that, you know, may have been on the fence before, that may be like, hey, you know, I could probably do something with that. So just throwing it out there. So let's start with what I want to do with the reblades that I've done. The reason I'm kind of saying it, it's just the reblades. There's only 2 that I'm going to offer right here. This solo, I still haven't got on fixed. I need to fix that. I'm going to put a lot more insert in it. And once I put the lot bar inserted, I'm 99.9% sure this is going to be fine. But until I get that executed, I can't really sell this one. I really would like to, because this is the best one that I think I've done as far as like overall quality. I think this is probably the best one. But obviously with the titanium failing, you know, that's kind of a dumb statement, because the other 2 are working and that was basically failing at this point. So I just feel better about that one. Let's put it that way. Okay. All right. So on the reblades that I've done, we're going to call these like golden tickets. What I mean by that is, like, you can buy this knife right now for what I'm going to offer it for. If you want to trade it in on a future knife that I build, like you're kind of invested in the possibility of me making something that you might be interested in the future, I'll buy it back from you for the same amount you buying it right now from. So basically, this Tucson, which really, I think a new Tucson was like probably under $100. I'm gonna ask for $100 for this. I got more in that material and time for sure, like this, but you know, it's reblade. It says 45. This was the 36 grit challenge from Mr. Todd Heater. And it's got the Chavez thumb studs in it. A little bit of jimping right here, but other than that, it's kind of like an enhanced poon or whatever else. But yeah, so $100 for this one. So I'm saying, like, in the future, you're like, hey Dave, I want that knife. I want my $100 off. So I'm gonna send you this knife. You give me $100 off, and I'll buy the new knife. Okay, that's cool. So it's basically like, I'm gonna give you that option where you get the payback, but also the option that the reason I call it the golden ticket is, other than the maker, or the designer. So like, you know, my game plan is to kind of sort of work with some people who design the knives, whether it's, you know, a full-on design like something like Sharif would send me, which I haven't been able to execute his design anyhow, so I don't know why I'm really mentioning that one. But like somebody who's that detailed, where so like he pretty much sent me the whole design. I'm just not, I don't have the ability to make what he wants to make, but hopefully in the future I will. Or the Eons, where he basically drew it on a piece of paper and went, you figure out all the other details. I just want it to basically look like this and function like that. So if I work with somebody, what would you call them, designers for this? Because they pretty much are, right? I mean, whether they're detailed or not detailed, it's still a design. That if I build, the designer has the first pick of those knives that I'll build with that. As of right now, the plan is to build like 5 of each design. But with the golden ticket, you can trump anybody else. So like, say I build Eon's blade, 3 of the people want one particular one, and you're like, hey, I got this knife right here. Okay, you get it first because you got the golden ticket. That's basically what I'm going to do. If 2 people golden tickets want it, we'll do a draw or something. I don't know. We'll get to that bridge if we ever get to it. But, you know, we're all talking future goals, and I ain't made the first thing yet. So this may or may not come to fruition. You know what I mean? Like, I might have to go back to work in August and work another job where I don't have time to build knives. So it might be a couple years down the road. So you're kind of taking a gamble on these. But anyway, that's kind of how I'm going to leave it. So $100 for this Tucson with an American-made S45 reblade. And then, and both these are, neither one of those are good. Like, I'm pretty sure this one was bent. It was sitting in a drawer so long with other shit sitting on top of it. I'm pretty sure it's bent up and stuff like that. The frame itself was, but it functions as a knife right now. So same thing basically with this one. I know it had problems on the inside of it, and it was bent too. I think the titanium itself was bent. I can't remember what I had done. You know, like some things I do these things. I did it so long ago. But neither one of those is like, neither one of these is something I really wanted to sell. Like, I'd rather have given them away or something. But at this point, like, I've got so much time in them, and I've already put, you know, thought and that sort of thing. Like, I don't want to keep just, for lack of a better term, machinist term, I don't want to keep polishing a turd. I just assume pass it on and let someone else enjoy it. I think this knife would be a fun knife for somebody. Like, especially if you're not one of those guys take it apart and tweak it all the time. If you're one of those guys, you probably don't want either one of those. But this one will go for $250. How about $250 for this one? Which was a Tier XL, which cost me way more than $250. I screwed the blade up when I was learning how to grind. So it's got a new pivot, a new reblade. I made the pocket clip, even though the hardware kind of sucks on the pocket clip, but I just don't feel like redoing it. And it's a good knife, man. Like, this is definitely a bruiser, so definitely a much thicker knife than what the TRXL was originally. So this proportionally is way better. Out of pretty much all my blades, well, even Billy said this is his favorite that he's seen in mine so far. But like, stylistically, I like it. The lock bar tension isn't tight enough for me. So like, that's one of my biggest things. The length of the lock bar on this one, it's just something inherited from his design. I prefer a shorter lock bar, which I didn't know that I knew. I always knew that, but like, since I've worked with Sharif, like he's talked about a lot of these things to me, and it's kind of like made me pay attention to it more. And I realized I'm a short lock bar kind of guy. So long lock bar is kind of like, it just doesn't have the right feel to me. Like, I like the knife, it's just the feel of that lock bar being not as taut. Don't leave me all warm and fuzzy. 100 for the Tucson, 250 for the TRXL regrinds. All right, now we're gonna move into other stuff. And so the reason I was saying that stuff about the customs a minute ago, or the prices a minute ago, is because like, this is your chance to own something. So I'm gonna go from least expensive to most expensive, which I don't think any of these are like hella expensive as far as like customs go, and they're basically half of what I paid for them. But we'll go with, because both of these were modified. This one was actually a gift from Brother Steve, and I had modified it. And at this point, I don't remember what kind of steel this is. I wish I could tell you. I want to say it's 3V, but it might be something else. This is a Mauser Customs called a Sin Eater. The blade was something else before. I had stonewashed, or acid stonewashed and reground it. I can't remember what else I'd done to it, but it did cut the slot in it. It probably needs to be another reblade in it, if I'm being completely honest. Obviously the millwork is not something I'm proud of. That's when I think this knife itself was one of the ones I discovered that my mill was as jacked up as it was on it, because I kept dialing it into what the numbers should be, and the mill was not doing what I told it, or I thought it should be doing. So like, it's lesson learned. And the DRO was bad too. But anyway, Mauser Customs, this is a Sin Eater. I have no idea what Steve paid for it. And I'm sure if I asked Steve, he would like, if it's for a charity thing, go ahead and do it. So, without even asking him, which I probably should have, because it was a gift, but I just know Steve's a generous guy too, and he would be all about supporting a charity like that. So anyway, I'm gonna do this one super cheap too. Let's do this one for say $250. So if you want this one, $250. Like I said, it's a good enough blade as is. Well, I will say on this one too is, if I'm not gonna probably offer public regrinds, but if this is something like you got this and you're like, the blade sucks, dude, I just want you to make a reblade for it, I would consider doing this for you. Okay, obviously the reblade's gonna be more than what the knife costs, but $250 for the Mauser. This is a custom. You can't buy these anymore, so, and it's dirt cheap. So $250. Like I said, I'm just trying to help another brother out. This is also one that I paid way too much for, and I chopped down. So this is a Crusader Forge. We always called it, I got this from Carco, and we always called it Excalibur because it was so freaking long when we got it. So like, I just did the blade chop on it, or the frame chop, blade chop, everything. I think it's Sawtooth hardware. It's in there. It might be Hinderer, but it's either one of the two, Sawtooth, or I think it's Sawtooth hardware, and re-drilled and tapped the clip on it. I want to say there's a hole under here that's covered by that clip. I can't remember. But you see the flipper tabs way back here. So while it's not a good flipper, see, it didn't even lock out all the way. You can make it work. As I fail it twice in a row, you can make it work, but you also see you lost a lot of real estate on that blade. Now, it's still a good blade, and I'm 99.9% sure this is 3V, but I don't have anything in concrete evidence to say that. I'm just pretty sure it is. But it's my first frame chop. I'm pretty sure it's first frame chop. I did a regrind on this one, and it's it's medium. It's not like super thin. It's a medium. It's still a bruiser. It can still be a bruiser. Just if you get a little bit of cutting edge on a big long knife. So this is one that I'll offer that same service as I did with that Sin Eater. I'll do the same, $250 for this one. So both of those are dirt cheap. You're not finding another Crusader for $250 or Sin Eater Mauser Custom for $250. You're not gonna find either one of those. Once again, for charity, just throwing it out there. So these next couple of few, a bunch of these were trades, and one of them was a new purchase. But I've showed this in the past. This is just something I got. I had done this as a mod for Denise, I believe. I added the thumb studs, but the thumb studs are super close to being stop pins now. They're like a gnat's butt away from being stop pins. I did a regrind on this guy. I think I did the top swedge, but maybe not. But I know I did the front bevel and the main bevel. I'm pretty sure I did. And then this was like a super bronzy bronze, and I just did a stone wash on top of it. I don't know that I've done a whole lot more beside that. I was going to do a pocket clip for it, but I didn't do anything for it. But if you know Scorpion 6, most of their stuff's pretty sky high. And like I said, I got a pretty good amount of money in it. So let's just say $400. So $400 is yours if you want it. Yeah, let's do this one first. Demented Steelworks. So this is another trade that I got in. I really like this knife, but you know, ultimately I don't carry it. I don't use it that much. It is super chunky. So almost as chunky. It's almost like a mini Artica. Is that what it was? The Medford Artica. Is that what it was? I think if I'm remembering right, that's what it was called. But anyway, it's a little chunky guy. Once again, Demented Steelworks. You know, I think that's what the name of one was. I'm not gonna find these either. These are Canadian customs. $400. Come get it. I let it go, $400. This was another trade. This is a 4-inch instigator from Jeff Vandermeulen. I did blast all the, because this does have a bling bling clip. I'm 99.9% sure it had a bling bling clip when I got it, and I just blasted it. I did add the tie connector thumb studs to this one. This does have somewhat of a regrind. The flat and the front, I'm sure if you see it in the bright light, is not great. I did it all freehand. This is one of the first ones I ever did freehand regrind on, and I do most of my grinding I do on the jig. This one's freehand. This one's showing a little surface rust, so I'll have to clean it up a little bit, but I don't even know what steel this is, so obviously it's something that can rust. I'll clean it up before it gets to you, but 4-inch instigator, screw it, $400. You can have it. This one was a new build. This is the Wrath. This is number 3 Wrath. This is the first one that that I know of, Jeff ever did. I'm pretty sure it is, ever did fullers on. I like the knife. I just don't, I haven't found myself carrying it. I've carried it a handful of times. And honestly, like if I carry a Vandermeulen, it's almost always the double homicide. This guy would be what I would consider backup for me, probably large for most of the rest of you folks. Probably large for a main carry, but for me, backup carry and kind of sort of on the smaller side. And it's not like the most fidgety, even though it's pretty good. You know, it's not like the best. This is in CTX XHP. I paid over $1,000 for it, new, $500. You can have it. All right, so that's the charity part of this today. Let's see, you already talked about the machine, the bikes, the not riding, the flying. I think that's it. 22 minutes. Let's just call it there, man. I was gonna make a more in-depth video and that sort of thing, but like, I think we're all down with the charity thing, right? People helping people kind of thing. And while it's not somebody directly in the community, it's not like it's actually Chuck Nunface. It's Chuck Nunface's brother, which, you know, to me, like if I had an issue, one of my brothers had cancer and they needed funds and I wasn't able to help them, even if I was, and just wanted to put the word out if anybody else wanted to help. Like, I think it's cool that we all kind of come to each other's, you know, aid when we can. And obviously, if you don't have money, I'm not talking to you, and I totally get that, dude. Like, it's hard times for a lot of people right now. I'm very, very, very grateful to be in the position I'm in right now, and I hope to, you know, go through these next 3 years and be in the same attitude. I think things will probably change for me financially, and you'll probably see it on the channel. But like, you know, I don't think my interest will wean from what I like really like as far as knives go and stuff like that. It might just be slower. I have to make more of my own rather than going out and buying them, right? Yeah, call it from there. All right, hope y'all have a good one. See y'all. Hopefully, if y'all end up going to Blade Show Atlanta, or you're thinking about going to Blade Show Atlanta, hit me up. Let me know. Let's try to get some kind of like meeting position or something like that. At least hang out, do something. Like there's a few people that I'll see almost every year. Like I know if Denise goes, I'm sure she will. I'll see her. Dan, I'll see Dan. Brother Ken always seem like no matter what, me and Ken run into each other. So we hardly ever have to make plans. We'll figure it out there. But you know, it's just hanging out for a few minutes. You know, once the initial craziness has settled down. But see y'all at Blade. If you're going to Blade, let me know if you're going. All right, y'all be cool. Later, y'all.